to many more layers of how you pull that off, but just on paper, I think Maxter edges the draft, but we'll have to see. We're starting over on Vale though, where we know Av3k is an absolute monster on this Ison.
And as we check things out from his point of view to begin with, oh dearie me, the opening rail to deal with that totem right as Maxter comes round the corner. The one thing you didn't want to happen.
I just didn't care. He went back in for more as well, which is very bizarre.
I'm still hungry.
Yeah, exactly. But he has now missed out on that frag, and he'll probably miss out on both of these items. He's not in a great position, particularly after eating a big rocket there.
Wow! Okay.
How?
An LG in hand. I was actually about to say, if there's one weapon he's going to have in that position, like, he might want to have the LG, but being able to just kind of sneeze out damage like that, I mean, like I said, believing in yourself, you know, going in and you know what you got to do to get the job done. Actually, that's not an amazing situation for Maxter.
Oh, okay.
Because that turret, it dobbed on him. It told him off.
Yeah, sometimes we underestimate how annoying and powerful the turret can be as well.
He's over there.
Yeah, Galena on this map obviously can be extremely strong, but it takes time and strategy to get to that point. And at the moment, all of the totems have been used in combat, and so he's got nowhere near an over, so he actually got 0 totems off the map at this point. Whereas Av3k is sitting pretty with both major items to his name. We said this is a very good map for Av3k, so Maxter might have to slow the pace down and actually work his overstack, because at the moment, he's being bullied by the aim of Av3k.
Ooh. Av3k does narrowly miss that rocket jump, but there's such a divide between the items, I don't think it matters all that much at all. As Maxter really kind of relegated to the bottom of the map for that split second as Av3k continues to cycle around, and there has been consistently a 10-second split between these two items pretty much since the map began. And that has only benefited Av3k so far. He's being nice and assertive, he's putting that pressure on. Maxter doing a pretty decent job at fighting back, but it all does come down to these item pickups, and even though he hit the rail, the heavy still went into the favor of Av3k. The question is, can Maxter now use this opportunity to pick up the Mega?
He has a rough idea of when it is, so we'll be able to pick that up. So nice job by Maxter. Rail's definitely going to be the key weapon for him in this match, and he's been able to string a few together, which is good. Back on even keel in terms of snack. Slight advantage for Maxter saying that as well, and he's in position as well to defend this heavy. Av3k's just going to retreat and take the long road round, actually up to the high ground, try and do some damage. Maxter come flying on up, but he's eating a big rocket for his troubles as well. The turret's there, but it will probably just be taken down by Maxter. Av3k's just testing the water with Maxter at this point, so if Maxter didn't go aggressive there, Av3k would have won himself the Mega, which is actually still up saying that. Maxter has left it up to push aggressively through the doorway, and now, having done that damage and got the information he needs, will he pick it up as well? So the split remains at around 10 seconds, given that it was delayed for such a long period of time. Nice by Av3k though.
Yeah, those rails have been phenomenal so far. And a lot of those shots are just coming down to just a simple understanding of where Maxter is, or is going to go in some of these cases. It's been less about those flicks and more, you know, you're down that hallway, okay, I'll just wait for you to show yourself and then hit the shot when I need to. Still impressive in its own right, but it's the information above all else that's really standing out here for Av3k so far. Feels like he always knows where Maxter is.
Yes, and because of that, been very methodical and got himself back into full control. And Maxter actually retreating and allowing Av3k to do this, who's delaying and delaying and delaying, hoping Maxter to come through there, but he doesn't fall for the bait. And Maxter's done what we said he needs to do. You know, he was trying to go toe-to-toe with Av3k off the start of this game. It wasn't working, and he's been able to slow the pace down. Yes, he's not in control, but he's also not giving up frags, and he's causing Av3k to slow as well. So that's really well played by Maxter, and again, a sign of just how far he's come, because in the past, he may have just carried on bulldozing his way through until he either broke or broke Av3k, and this time he's taken a different route of strategy.
One thing we've seen from Av3k is that he's always on the hunt right now. However,
nice.
This is a rare case where he doesn't manage to get the damage that he wants, and Maxter able to return the favor, if you will, as now Maxter will be the one sitting on that high ground. Mega in sight, and there's a huge delay on these items. So I don't know, maybe that one little tiny exchange is what Maxter needs to get back up. Like you said, he's been able to play that slow game so far, and he's given up almost nothing. 5 minutes left to go. I mean, he's only 2 frags behind. There's plenty of opportunity for him to bring this one back and start making magic happen. However, the next objective, heavy. In this case, ooh, not only the heavy, but the overstack. Able to get himself 3 totems on deck. This is a fantastic position in a fight. He should, on paper, win.
Got to be aware of this turret, though, even though Av3k's not the healthiest. maxter might have left it just a little bit too long, and he has, because now Av3k picks up the Mega. 1 second early, he just delayed too long, and once again, Av3k is precise with his timing and with his execution. So, but you can see the thought process by maxter. It was on point. Everything was nearly perfect. He worked that position. Just failed at the final hurdle.
If Av3k didn't have that pinpoint timing of the Mega, there's no way he would have won that fight. But clearly that's why he's standing up there. He had the information that he needed. He had the execution to pull it off, and that was a masterful little play. Unfortunately, that does mean that, you know, the difference between 2 frags and 3 in this kind of situation seems a bit more significant than it might otherwise be, as Av3k continues the control of the map. He continues to pile on the pain when necessary, but yeah, that one instance is one hell of a turnaround. And if anything, that can really kill one's morale, can't it?
And you can see that Av3k is quite happy actually to challenge for the Mega without having the bigger stack, because with the turret in position, if he gets up early enough, it's effectively 2v1 at that point. Because if you bust on through that TP, that turret's going to do pretty much 100% damage to you the entire time, and you just can't afford to take the time to get rid of it. So strategically, Av3k has a huge advantage over by the Mega area. It's this heavy where maxter really needs to make it count, or if he wants to challenge for that Mega, to make sure he's in position earlier to stop that from happening. Nevertheless, he's doing great work in and around the map to keep Av3k low. And because of that, you can see Av3k is on the ropes and unable to really make a move. And there you go, there's the frag maxter needed.
And maxter made a really good read down near that light armor. You know, Av3k was the one pushing down there, almost expecting maxter to be the one to take it, but that was definitely a I know that you know situation. Used the opportunity to get some extra damage on deck and really made it count. Maxter, hang on. Okay.
That was so nice. There was reason why it was so nice, because he knew he had to push Av3k before he set that trap up top with the turret, but he also knew he had a totem with an overstack in his pocket to refuel effectively going through. So absolutely amazing from maxter, and he's dragging his way back into this game as he catches Av3k over in the light armor room, decides not to follow it up and instead favors keeping control of the map. I mean, he's got 2.5 minutes just to get one measly frag. So nice and methodical, very slow. He obviously still needs to make that frag happen, and every minute that goes by, he wastes a bit more time and allows Av3k to build his stacks, so he needs to keep on top of him. But the rail game is where he's been finding the most amount of profit in this map so far.
So far, 2 totems on deck, actually about to be a 3rd, and they are in positions where it's going to be a bit weird for Av3k to challenge them. He'll have to go out of his way to make sure he takes them out. And I am kind of thinking, if a fight breaks out and maxter does get good opening damage, he's going to have that 3rd overstack to deal with, and there it is!
Such a lovely double back from Av3k to do so much damage, and he is very weak at this moment in time, but all the damage is keeping maxter equally as weak. Lovely rail coming around the corner as well, and Av3k reading maxter like a book. He has taken the Mega though, so there's a big restack, and that rail will open a massive door for him to push on aggressively. He has to finish it now. There's no reason to let Av3k go. Gonna push on in, but no, he's been bounced around! Can he finish it off? Just is the answer. Where does Av3k spawn? By the LG. Lovely cut off with the rail though, so that's bought him some more time. He knows he can't finish him off without any rail, and so maxter is in pole position with that overstack now to take this map away from Av3k.
So many clutch moments here from maxter. He had to hit that miracle shot, and he was able to do so. Push forward, control, even down to that read on Av3k. You know, Av3k pushing forward and getting hit by that rail on the way in. Safety lets you take the heavy, and kind of feels like we may as well be in sudden death already, the way things are going. Maxter in perfect position though, Dan. He's got all the totems, he's got the control. This heavy, but you have to watch out. Lovely rocket jump.
Oh, so ballsy, and ultimately lucky that maxter moves slightly out of position. So Av3k gets away with murder there, and he gets away, but he is now taking a lot of damage. 83, but he's bullied his way, as he does so often.
But he's out of rails. That's what I'm a bit concerned about, though, Dan. He can't push forward as much as he would want to. You know, that setup damage without the rail on hand. He's only got an LG. He actually hasn't got any rockets either. Maxter does not have much ammo at his disposal. In and out. Okay, stage 1. Got it.
But if Av3k pushes here, which he won't now,
Oh my god.
he obviously doesn't know the economic situation for Maxter's weaponry, but if he did, I can guarantee he'd be pushing.
All right, we got some rockets. Part 1. This is going to be a very scary sudden death for both players. However, with Maxter not having a rail on hand, I do wonder how he's going to open this up. If we look over on the side of Av3k, he is not having such issues. Okay, here we go. A fight begins, but again, he doesn't have any LG ammo. He's got 9 cells, 5 rockets. This has got to be so frustrating for Maxter. To jump down now and take the rail, he would have to give up so much of a position to do it. He's only got 2 more rockets. This is horrible for Maxter.
But Av3k decides to retreat, get the upper ground, but just a second too late to do any really meaningful damage onto the item. Maxter gets away, and we do reset here as Av3k is in position for this mega. See, raining down the rockets from above. Maxter sneaks on through, but he won't go through just yet. Quite happy to sit on below, just try and do some chip damage. Neither one does anything, in fact. And we will go again.
Maxter had to accept that I'm going to give up this top ground positioning, and I'm likely going to give up the items too. However, Av3k, hang on a minute. Looks like he was a little bit early there, perhaps.
He was, but that rail was critical. Maxter knows where his totems are, though. He's had overstack for so long in the latter part of this game, and it's been a saving grace, but Av3k times that one to perfection. He flies on down and gets the frag. What a push.
That was the rocket of all rockets. And actually, Av3k only did about 380 damage with the rocket on that map. So he didn't use it all that much, apart from that final moment where, you know, it had to be done. But I gotta say, Av3k was able to take that map in such close fashion. There was that kind of nod of acceptance from Maxter, because he was so close to returning the favor. Maxter did play that sudden death incredibly well. He had the entirety of it. He had no ammo. He had like little bits and bobs for either weapon, but it was only up until that final moment that he decided he had to give up that top ground control just to get ammunition. It almost worked out, but Av3k just hitting that perfect shot in the last moment. I mean, really keeping himself in the game with those moments of execution by the end.
I mean, they both played to the absolute limit, and this is the ending frag. Lovely rocket to finish it off. 10 health, nearly actually died to the acid. But the pivotal point in the map for me was that shift in strategy from Maxter. They kind of went toe to toe for the first couple of frags. Maxter appreciated what was going on, that his direction wasn't working, and he retreated. He built his overstack as we said he needed to do. He worked around his rail, which was on form as well, and he went from there. But also, as you said, Av3k's weapon choice throughout was so key. The amount of LG spam he was using was just keeping Maxter at bay, even though he was on the rope for a large period of that map as well. Maxter had large periods of control, particularly in the second half of the game, and then the overtime was, you know, make or break at that point, and Av3k decided to take the risky play of going through the TP just after Maxter picked up that mega. So it kind of caught Maxter off guard because he thought he was safe and sound. So really, really well played for both players.
That was a bit of a hurricane of a first map, and it's crazy to think that we have 2 more of these to go with these two, as we are going to be jumping into that new stuff again. Both players have readied up, so we'll be going into Insomnia pretty much as soon as we can. And this is another map that I'll be keeping a close eye on. I know you were a little bit concerned about the draft from this. You weren't sure how Anarchy versus Sorlag really was going to pan out. You know, it's similar movement and stuff like that, but someone's going to be significantly more tender than the other. But at the same time, Av3k does just bring forward that confidence where it could very well work out for him, but I think we're both going to be paying close attention to it.
Yeah, I've definitely seen it at least picked once in the key build on this map. I think it was actually Psychic, if I remember rightly, and it didn't go entirely to plan. There is There is obviously some good strengths there. You can rotate around the map quickly. You got the injector, which is very, very good. Just the air control on Insomnia in general is strong. That's obviously one of the reasons why Sorlag is picked. But at the same time, you're going up against Sorlag, who is very similar in skill set, but with almost twice the stack. So there are challenges. We've already seen maxter being able to manage the aggression of Av3k pretty decently. I think a large part of this particular map is going to come down to the rail, who can control that mid ground.
And a lot of the rails that Av3k has been hitting so far have been less of those kind of immediate reaction and more the setup first. You know, the setup tends to be 70% of the shot landing, and on a map like this, I'm going to be curious to see if Av3k can continue that, because you don't have as much of those like really large hallways. You have a couple of angles where you can get real good rails, but if the other player is playing nice and aggressive, that can be a bit of a split-second decision.
Yeah, the denial of the spit on this map is actually very strong because of the amount of choke points, particularly on the entryway to these major items. As Av3k drops on down, a little bit risky there. maxter not ready for it. But they are just going to play keep away at this point in time, trading major items, not willing to over-engage, just feeling each other out, understanding what they're doing strategically.
As we can see from maxter, this is that first step. Neither player wants to give away too much information, especially seeing as the divide between the items. I mean, they're both a fair while from spawning, so whoever could have got that opening shot would have been quite important. However, they do trade these rails. They trade again! And the trade seems to favor Av3k as he's the one that takes that. Gets a little bit of that inject on deck and a mega. maxter has the heavy here, but there's not a lot of health nearby, and if Av3k's able to keep putting that pressure on, that rocket, whoa! That one almost hit its mark.
Yeah, KG opening will continue to trade. Once again, the rail's been the defining factor, the rocket and the spit, just used to manage choke points, manage entryways. Neither one willing to go aggressive. All coming down to who can connect with two subsequent rails. As I say that, Av3k spots his chance. He gets maxter very, very weak. Unable to finish his opponent.
And maxter steals away that heavy at the same time and catches Av3k in the wrong side of town. All right, it's not every day Av3k gets caught like that.
Oh, there we go.
Wow, okay. 1-1.
Yeah, lucky spawned from Av3k in reality and pick up his weapon after dying. I don't even think we've seen any damage with anything except rail just yet. Neither one making any conscious effort to close the gap or pushing aggressively. Av3k taking more of the initiative, but maxter managing it pretty well.
I feel like this is much more of a game of cat and mouse than we saw the last time we had Insomnia, merely in the last series. I'm watching this through maxter's point of view the whole time, and there have been so many moments where he's just hitting that walk, giving away as little information as possible. And actually, again, listening out for where Av3k's going to go. He's been able to hear the inject at the very least, so he knows he has to go and take that mega. The inject's been used. I need to compete in some way.
No, really well read by maxter there. Noticing, as you said, the inject's coming out, which signifies Av3k will be going aggressive. Does manage to trade items, so they're just exchanging positions at this point. Av3k is actually really wanting to try and take a fight and take the initiative, but maxter is managing that. Despite playing obviously the tankier champion, he doesn't want to make any aggressive moves. He just wants to play around that rail and keep it at a nice and slow pace.
Ooh, in doing so, maxter opens up that rail angle. Ready for Av3k to potentially make chase here. But actually, maxter's done a really good job of just slipping by and gets 100 damage.
I see.
He has been so sneaky so far, and there's another rail to hit its mark. This is going to perfectly set up maxter for a free heavy. And Av3k actually pushing forward with no armor. That is a risky play for sure.
And this is a really frustrating position for Av3k to be in, as he's trying to do anything he can to close the gap between maxter, but maxter's positioning has just been better at this point in time. He's been reading Av3k slightly better. I mean, aim-wise, connection-wise, more or less even, but when you've got a slightly better stack, a slightly better position, you can capitalize upon those trades better. And that's what Max is doing at this point in time. And if you looked at heat map of this particular map, they'd be very similar positions they've both been camped in for the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, Maxter's been sitting pretty towards that middle ground for most of it. And there's the opening rocket, the flick to answer back! Maxter was the one that was railable. Or not quite railable, I should say. Still alive, but for how long, I wonder. I wonder if being this weak is going to kind of somewhat shift the balance of power on this map for the first time. Maxter's kind of early for this Mega, and if he comes around the corner, he might get him, and he does!
Oh, what timing from Av3k. Perfect to come flying around, and now we might see a change in dynamic on this map as Av3k has got his way. Finds Maxter up top here, bounces him around and takes the lead. He is low, but he's got enough time to build himself a stack to contest for this next heavy, and now there's a big split between the major items. Av3k can take this map and really change the agenda. Lovely, aggressive rail. Max is pushing in for the first time all map. He's done some damage, but not enough. As the inject comes out, Av3k will go flying around, challenge for this next Mega, and Max is not even going to show face. As I say that, he comes in through the other direction and gives away his life.
That's a real shame for Maxter. It looked like he missed his jump towards, where the jump pad is. He tried to make it towards Mega, and it kind of looked like he slipped off, which meant that he was not in position to sit on that Mega. And if he was beforehand, maybe he would have been able to pick it up mid-fight, maybe survive long enough to get the frag even. However, not much else can be said about that one. Just has to move on and forget about it. 4-2. There's still time for him to bring this one back here. However, there has been such a significant shift in aggression. Now, Av3k is the one that's in control. Av3k is taking all of the items now, and he's getting a couple of bonus frags for his trouble. Maxter, you can see why he was playing it so careful, because it's just momentum you cannot allow to begin here.
And now Maxter's been almost dislodged from his perch. You can see Av3k's the one with the initiative. He's reading Maxter. He's the one getting the initial rails. And that is putting a huge dent into any potential comeback from Maxter. Big split between the items has now come for nothing as Max has managed just to delay enough time on that heavy to get himself a Mega. The items are bang on even as well, which means they both have a get out clause. But the time is ticking away with 3 minutes on the clock to go. There's only 2 frags in it though, Ketchup, so plenty of time. However, Av3k looks very comfortable now.
Identical items as well. It kind of begs the question, are we going to sit here forever? How long are we going to wait to make something happen? We trade the rails, but that's a trade that Av3k can happily take and Maxter can't, and that does mean that Av3k... Oh, I love that play from Maxter. He stopped in his tracks and just listened to make sure Av3k was not going to fly around the front. Had to do it.
But I also really love what I've seen from Av3k. It's almost like machine learning. He's kind of clocked what Max is doing. He's kind of taken read of the main positioning, the main angles Max has been playing with, and fought around it. And now he's on the verge of taking I was going to say he's on the verge of taking a 3-frag lead, but no, Maxter closes the gap. He's very low himself, so Av3k will undoubtedly trying to find a way to come flying back in. He knows how low Maxter is. The question is, can he connect with this first rail? No, Maxter does enough to get away for now. They continue to trade, but with only 1 frag the difference this time.
Misses the opening rail, and that could be really bad. Actually, Av3k tries to make the read on the jump pad, but Maxter doesn't take the bait. And with that opening rail doesn't hit its mark, this is a very, very unusual fight, to say the least. Thankfully, Maxter was able to get himself some rails. That was a split-second decision that didn't quite work out for Av3k. That one missed rocket could have been everything, but wait! Surprise! Here's a rail.
And just when it seemed comfortable for Av3k, Maxter comes fighting back as Av3k misses a few clutch rails, maybe a little bit greedy, particularly on the frag. It was unnecessary to push that. It's kind of one of the drawbacks of his playstyle is that he just wants to take these fights, and sometimes this is what can happen, it can backfire. But he still has the lead for now with 1 minute to go. This has been his camping ground all game long as Maxter's taken the Mega side, Av3k's taken the heavy side, just goading each other to try and push on through. By nature of this map, the choke points are so tight, it can be a bit of a stalemate like this. And that's exactly what we're seeing as Maxter trying to find his way in. He knows that Av3k's in the vicinity, but not exactly where. He has to make a move now with 1 minute to go, but Av3k is in the upper ground. It's going to be so hard for Maxter to do anything.
Maxter has to make a very brave decision here. You would, in theory, be completely mad to push up a jump pad knowing that Av3k has the advantage, but with 30 seconds left to go, those situations might be forced upon you. Av3k has had such a strong defensive position all the way through. that even showing his face near those bends is playing a scary game, you know, because you're giving up a little bit of rocket damage. The aggressive push! Does it work? No, it doesn't, but such a worthy attempt. Oh.
But it's too little too late. That's the way he should have been playing 5 minutes ago, you know, that I can understand the strategy, but at the same time, Av3k, you could see the momentum shift as Av3k was adapting to it, and obviously there's not enough time now to close the gap with the comeback. So it was a pretty unusual duel, in all honesty. Not what you would expect to see from these two juggernauts.
It kind of like you said about halfway through the map, that they both set up shop on specific areas of it, and they stayed there for pretty much the entire duration. It was the closing few seconds that saw maxter finally go for that aggressive rocket jump straight forward. Almost worked. I mean, clearly got that opening shot on Av3k because he took him by surprise. It's just that couldn't get the damage he was looking for. But that was another fantastic map. Only one frag in it between the two, and we are getting an extremely split down the middle series. It's a 2-0, yes, but, you know, at the risk of sounding rather generic, I know this term is used a lot, but it's a 2-0. The scoreline doesn't necessarily reflect how close these maps have been. At the end of the day, what it does reflect is Av3k's ability to close it out and finish the job.
Absolutely. I mean, map 1 could have gone, I mean, either map could have gone either way. Definitely felt that map 1, maxter played better. Felt this map he retreated into himself a little bit too much, maybe gave too much respect to Av3k, in all honesty, and it cost him the map at the end of it. Even though it was 5-4, I think Av3k had more control and actually probably felt more confident closing this one out than he did on Veils. So we will be moving on now. It is 2-0 Av3k, so he does pick himself up the series win, as I guess the majority of people would have expected, and we could have said in the intro, but it was very close either way. And as you said, map 3 could still go maxter's way.
Yeah, you had the concerns about Visor. It sounds almost like strange when you talk about Visor and the lack of utility, but I think we just look at the matchup versus it's just being able to gauge. Having the wall hack is one thing, sure, but having the ability to just fly around the map and get all this extra information by just seeing it and hearing it and running the cycle of all the items nice and fast, the aggressive pushes when it's down, you know, without piercing sight, Visor's just a abilityless medium champion, right? So this
Vanilla.
is another yeah, back to the way things used to be. Old man yells at Cloud. But I mean, like, this final map, we could definitely still see maxter take it. It just Av3k is there's been his game plan just oozes confidence, and I think that's what I love about watching him.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, and that's why Av3k is always a joy to watch. You know, map 1 was won off the back of big balls plays, so map 2 nearly thrown away off the back of big balls plays. So it can go both ways, but we are on map 3 where it is a completely different set of circumstances, and I still do have fears around Visor in general. Still has got a lot of utility. You'll have to play a slightly slower pace, but in the hands of Av3k, it's always going to be scary no matter what. If maxter can pull out the slash, really control the game, use the rail and start connecting, then it gets really scary to be a Visor in that kind of situation. You have to almost turtle at times, and if you do turtle, then you lose full map control. So it's kind of a catch-22. So we'll see how Av3k decides to play this, and a lot of that depends on how well maxter is playing as well.
Well, here we go. The final destination, Ruins of Sarnath, with Av3k already having a 2-0 here over maxter, but a chance to stabilize just a little bit. As we are in this halfway point, those individual maps will start to get added up, no doubt. And let's see if maxter can at least add 1 to the tally here. We'll be checking things out from Av3k's point of view first. And as expected, a slow beginnings. Information is key here, especially seeing as Av3k does not have a lot of weapons. He's using this piercing sight just to make sure he can safely pick up some weaponry first, which is definitely a good call to make.
Well, earlier in the season, Nosfer actually beat Av3k 2-1. So, you know, we can see the battle for South American pride is currently with Nosfer winning this particular matchup. But it's a good start by maxter when we're looking at this map. You know, he's got full control now. Av3k has to retreat. He's already used the piercing sight, and he's in a bit of problem here as he has to back away. But, you know, playing the runaway game against a Slash is never the position you want to be in, because you're generally not going to win that unless you dart between TPs. Then you can do something tricky, and that's what he does, but doesn't do enough.
That was almost a turnaround for Av3k. I mean, there were a couple of rockets there placed, narrowly almost hitting the directs, and if they did, that would have been potentially a very different story. That was a hard situation to even survive in, right? Because, again, the rocket can be great for certain situations, but if you're having to play that defensive game where even landing good splash damage is hard, that's a hard call to make. It's no wonder maxter made that push forward. Av3k did what he could, however, now at last brings himself a rail on hand. For the first time all game, he's been able to actually pick up a rail gun.
And as we saw against a Slash earlier, if you start hitting a couple of rails, if you string 2 back-to-back, you've effectively crippled her, and there's not a lot she can do at that point in time. So that's obviously going to be the game plan for Av3k. Either that, yeah, the kind of real choice you have at that point is to start turtling down in that heavy area, because that's a scary place to be as a Slash. If you get bounced around, you lose all the effectiveness of what your champion can bring.
At the very least, off the back of that rail, maxter will have absolute certainty that was a piercing sight. I mean, that was no reaction, really. That was you walk around the corner, you get hit frame 1. So he's going to have at least that level of information. How much it will help him, I suppose, remains to be seen. Mega is this next objective. He's not going to need that piercing sight for this inevitable fight here. Hits the second shot that he needs, and that's put a distinct difference between the stack of the two. maxter forced to retreat. Nice trap, though. Watch out. Here we go once more. That was so good from maxter.
Not willing to give Av3k an inch there, even though he was actually the one in the ascendancy in the stack. Just wanted to get away cleanly and play safe, you know, work around a big stack. No need to take any risks. He's the one now with the lead. So a lot of respect coming out from maxter.
I'm just loving the change of pace. It's been a very slow, methodical series. Pretty much all 3 of the maps. Now, these opening moments are so pivotal. Av3k putting himself in position to take that heavy. And in doing so, being able to cycle around this map a little bit, looks for a bit more of that range damage. maxter narrowly misses that rail. Could have been a slightly different push if he was able to hit his mark. However, the important thing is the item in play. But before Av3k takes that, actually pushes forward to take the light, and actually maxter turns around and steals it. Okay, let's go, maxter. I see you.
That's just what a Slash can do. I mean, Av3k basically was just running up the stairway, and maxter found 3 different angles by the time Av3k got up the stairs. So it's just insane the speed she can play at and the angles she can create.
God.
But this is what Av3k is known for. That nail gun was unreal, melting maxter. He does get the frag in the end, but he took so much damage.
I cannot believe he hit almost every single nail there. That was unbelievable.
I mean, if you've ever watched Av3k before, I wouldn't even doubt it for a second as he comes flying down the stairway, hits his first rail, can't connect with a second. maxter sticks around. That was pretty greedy. That's given a massive lifeline to Av3k.
We go back into the scary game. One thing we haven't addressed, which is always apparent when it's light on the ruins, is if you want to get some armor on deck that's not a heavy, you have to put yourself in a rather outwards position. Now, that is going to be a missed rail. That one won't be, but more beneficial to Av3k, who can back up towards Mega, now put himself in position for heavy. maxter's going to have to focus on just licking his wounds rather than fighting for this major item. And now, what do you do? Av3k, way more stack. An opportunity to hit even one single rail and put maxter at death's door. Misses it, though. That was an important rail to hit, but just can't land it yet. There it is! And way too early on that Mega to sit and collect it. He's going to have to run away at the same time. Give it up. There's the rail that Av3k was looking for, though. Delicious.
And this is what happens if you start hitting a couple of unreturned rails against a Slash. She can't do anything against you. The game plan for maxter is beginning to unfold. It's kind of what we saw on Insomnia, unable to impose himself, beginning to lose out on momentum, beginning to lose out on rail duels, and suddenly the map falls away. He still is in the lead though, so he's still in a good position, but once again, Av3k's got the reads, he pops the piercing sight. I'll be double back though from maxter just this time to get away.
Would have been a rather greedy decision for Av3k to do 2 rocket jumps back to back. I mean, we're happy to take some damage, but maybe not that much. maxter still very, very weak. Oh, there it
Definitely
is.
thought about it though, but he didn't need to. He gets a frag, and maxter actually gets a bad spawn. Shouldn't hold your plus forward if you don't know where you're spawning, and he said you're going to cost him a frag. Oh, that was a bit of a mistake from maxter, and now the tides have turned. Av3k is continuing to build his lead, but there's a big split between the items that he's maintaining, and maxter hasn't gotten in. I don't even know what timing he has at this point in time. Av3k is not railable, so he's happy just to pick up that mega and go away. He's going to catch him through here, but maxter comes flying on through. Lovely rail from Av3k. That means that maxter is very weak, and he's going to be too weak to contest this pickup, which puts him in an even worse situation now. Ooh, that was a close rocket as well.
That drive-by rail near Mega was a phenomenal shot from maxter. However, I can actually see it from his point of view, the reserved nature of these rail shots. I mean, the moment he's even fired the rail, he's already put himself right back around the corner because he is terrified of return damage, and he should be. 3 minutes left on the clock. He's able to take the Mega at the very least. If he died in that rail 1v1 over there, would not have been able to pick up that item. Unfortunately, here comes yet another rail and a perfect positioning, and that's a piercing sight. Able to use the pillar to his advantage, but it's still active. Watch out.
Oh, he just can't connect with the closing rail, and maxter gets away with his life for now. How big of a situation will that be in the final 3 minutes? Av3k could have extended the lead, but maxter lives to fight another day. But once again, he just can't get on the items catch up. And without being able to get on the items, to put it bluntly, he just has to hit more rails. And at the moment, he's not doing that.
He's only got 2 of them so far as well, and by taking rail ammo, might put himself out in harm's way. That rail misses, gives him a moment to make sure he lines up the shot perfectly, but that's the final shot he had. maxter needs ammo, and he needs it now. Why has he been constantly out of ammo this whole series? It's been cursing him all the way through. Oh, he heard the piercing sight, I'm sure of it.
Av3k is playing really, really well at this point in time. Not an absolute blip in his control for the past 3 or 4 minutes. Full control, best positioning on the map so far. Max is struggling. He's playing the outskirts of the map, but wherever he's going, Av3k is more than ready for him. So completely mitigating the speed. But there you go. There's 2 rails now. Av3k though is still in position for this mega, and it's up. He knows it's up. He can also afford to eat a rail. He can't now, so he has to get away, and he does just quickly. He's left the heavy up, should they say, and now maxter has an item. Finally, for the last minute to go, he has something to work with.
That was such a scary game for maxter to play, knowing that if you get hit by one of these rails, you're done. And if you get hit by that rail, you've lost the map. But you know you have to put your presence known on these items. Being able to do that and hit the shots, unfortunately, does find himself in a situation again. Able to slip the net temporarily. That piercing sight is going to vanish. And now Av3k is not going to have that final potential nail in the coffin here. But maxter, right, armor on deck. He's got himself a little bit more. Av3k, on the other hand, is just happy to sit here and wait. He's consistently had more armor. He's hitting a few rails to keep maxter low. And if he can just keep doing that for 55 more seconds, he is laughing.
maxter doesn't have a lot to work with though. He's got time for one more major item, and then he really has to push the button. Av3k though popping that piercing sight before the round of pickups just to see what's going on. He sees where maxter is. He knows he can catch him in the drop down. Exactly what he's doing. maxter doesn't drop, but he has to do something, and he can't do anything. Av3k does close out the map. 30 seconds to go. Really nothing maxter could do. He hits a huge rocket. I don't even know how you hit a rocket from that angle, but Av3k finds a way, and catch up. He'll take the series 3-0.
This was such a phenomenal performance here from Av3k, mostly because, especially in that final few moments, he played it so perfect. I don't even know what maxter could have done to win, you know, to pull off that comeback and bring himself back into it, because there was such a devastating chokehold that Av3k enforced there, and funnily enough, mostly due to the information that piercing sight was able to gather. Not like maxter would have had to be simply like lucky, surely, to get that frag down near heavy. Like Av3k was in such a prime position, it almost felt like there was no way he wasn't going to get that frag at the end and just take it all the way.
Yeah, it was an interesting series for sure. It definitely wasn't the best maxter we've ever seen. But that was also just the Av3k factor, the pressure he puts on, the amount of damage he puts out. Like, he might not have the flashiest aim in the world, but by God does he have one of the most effective aims. And just all of that packaged into one makes him so scary. And I think maxter almost retreated into himself a little bit too much. There was a game plan there, but I felt more aggression at times could have served him better. And you know, we saw it in the first 2 minutes of Veil. He tried to go toe-to-toe with Av3k and was failing. He needed to adjust that game plan there, but it didn't ever seem like he worked his way out of that. And because of that, you know, Av3k had a lot more license to play freer. And when he had control, the pressure was just mounting onto maxter, and he wasn't able to outgun Av3k today.
Well, I tell you what, I thoroughly enjoyed that series all the same. I thought we got to see a prime display of just how good both Av3k and maxter are currently looking. You know, maxter going to be disappointed with that. You know, always knows he has what it takes to go all the way, and especially those first few maps, they very much could have gone either way. It's just, you know, victory favoured Av3k today through his rock solid game plan, but Nosful was this close almost every single time. So a lot to take away from this, I think. Being able to look at how both players are currently looking, being able to go this close all 3 maps, Av3k's ability to clutch it out and pull off those miracle moments when he needs to do it, and outside of that, just rock solid game plans. I think that visor display on Ruins was as perfect as it could have gone, to be honest.
Definitely. I mean, Visor can struggle, but Av3k showed you the strength of Visor, and you know, if you play it with confidence, play any champion with confidence, this is what you can do. Like, and we said at the start, Av3k knows what he likes. He knows how to play to his strengths, and when he does that, people adapt to him. So he doesn't even give a hoot what you're picking at the end of the day. Most times, he'll pick what he wants to pick. He's going to make it work. So it worked today. It was very close throughout. 5-4, 5-4, 6-4. Wouldn't have said those would have been the scorelines at the start of the day, but you know, credit to maxter to keep it so close. Full credit to Av3k to take the 3-0.
Well done, is all we can say at the end of that one. We're going to be going for a quick break, and when we come back, our 3rd series here for Week 9 of Quake Pro League will return. Thanks so much, and we'll see you in a few minutes' time.